Hey everyone, welcome to Danny Chats. This is episode number 41, and today I'm joined by Lewis. Lewis is another person that I met at the Transplant Games, and he absolutely blew me away with his 100-meter sprint, which he did in just under 11 seconds. Is that right, Lewis?
Yeah, it was 10:99. So
10:99. Is that
super.
a personal best for you?
Yeah, it was a personal best up at Leeds. Yeah, as you could see, I kept on running. I almost did 200 meters. I was celebrating so hard. So you could say I was chuffed with that one.
It was incredible to see. So you're on here obviously because you had a kidney transplant in 2017. Is that right?
Yeah. So in 2017, I had uh, the kidney transplant, but my kidneys actually failed 2 years prior to that in 2015. Um, so Shall I just jump into the story
Yeah,
or?
yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
tell me what
fine.
happened.
So I just moved down to Cardiff, started my new job down here, and everything was going okay. I remember it was the Rugby World Cup. I think it was the one. It was Wales versus England.
Yeah, big
I was
game.
watching it in Walkabout, and nice celebrations, and something just didn't feel right. So I thought I had eaten something food poisoning,
Okay.
and yeah, I had some food poisoning, and it just didn't go away. Had some blood tests done in at the GP, and I got a phone call the next day to say for me to go to the Heath Hospital in Cardiff. Just thought it was how you get your blood results. I previously from that I'd never had bloods done, so
Wow.
being in Cardiff, I thought, oh, that's the main place. Didn't know anything about it. Um, they told me then to go to the surgical assessment unit, which should have rung a bells to it, so it just went over my head. And yeah, there then they told me my kidneys had failed on me. So
Wow.
that was it was a big hit. Well, it didn't really hit me until they started saying we're gonna have to call family members, because I was telling them, you know what, I'll call them in a little bit. Don't worry, just give me the meds, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'll out your hands. But no, they were like not forceful in any way, but they were like, adamant. No, we need to call somebody now.
This is
This
serious.
is serious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think at that point I just kind of like unlocked my phone, just handed them my phone and just told them, home is, who to call.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just broke down there and I was just like, didn't know what happened. Just think, I had to go into emergency dialysis straight away. So they
Wow.
started, I had that I can't remember what the line's called, but I'm pretty sure it was in my leg. I can't remember. They were
Yeah.
prodding and poking.
Fi-
In hospital then for around a month, and yeah, just on dialysis in the hospital for a month. Then it started. At first, it really took it out of me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, um, wherever I was having dialysis from, they were, I was just connecting me up. Fell asleep. I was so groggy and
Yeah.
drowsy, and I suppose because they found out when they did an ultra scan when I was in hospital that there weren't any kidneys there. Um,
But they'd
yeah,
shriveled up completely.
shriveled up. Yeah,
Wow.
they couldn't find them at
Yeah.
all. So
So that's a crazy experience because to go into hospital for the first time for anyone, even if it's just an overnight stay and not having all of that, it's really daunting and scary. So that must have been
yeah,
just such a huge, you think you're fine. Like you say, when they tell you this, you're like, well, I feel all right. I feel a bit ill, but
I was feeling, and I drove myself to hospital as
yeah,
well. So
that's
because I went to work that morning and then I said, oh, I had a call back. It was the out of hours GP that actually um, called me back and said, oh, you need to go to the hospital. And I told my team leader at the time, "Oh, I've just got to go to the Heath for some blood results. I should be back, in 2 hours or an hour or whatever." And then I don't know then how I must have just again, I think I've just not blanked it, but I think I can't remember how I told work.
Yeah, it's not. It's that's not the top of the things you remember when you've got tubes in
No,
you and blood tests
exactly.
and
Yeah,
everything else you did at that point becomes kind of like irrelevant in a way.
yeah, because then there's obviously getting my family. They were calling me as well
Yeah,
just to say like, what's going on? We've had this call. Are you okay? And I was like, yes, I'm fine. Um, obviously the tests and everything showed otherwise.
yeah, yeah. Did they say what might have caused it?
No, I didn't get a diagnosis
Mm,
on what happened there. It was just crash landing, as they're called, straight into
yeah,
stage 5 renal failure.
yeah. And then they must have mentioned about having a transplant.
Um, Original again, I can't really remember. I think it was just a case of trying to get the bloods down to nor- a normal level at that point. Um, just just because just because at that time when I started to speak into the nurses and everything just to ask questions, I asked so what my blood levels were, and the
Um, I seem to have lost you there for a second.
yeah, every
So,
time it kind of blanks out your side, I'm gonna pause.
yeah. So you got to you asked the nurse about your blood levels.
To my blood levels, and I think the scale that I think it's the creatinine um level, if I've said that correct. I can't remember which one it was.
Creatine, yeah,
Creatine, that's the one. Um, and I think their levels of recording are 0 to 1,000, and mine were over that level. So at
yeah,
that point, they were like, just get that. That's hence why I was on dialysis, because I'm pretty sure I was on there for not most of the day, but it was long periods of time to start off with, and then once I started um, getting the blood levels have started to come down. I could feel a lot better in myself, as in
yeah,
like I didn't have any toxicity in my body. It was actually cleaning everything out, which was
yeah.
obviously the job of the kidneys. Um, and then, ironically, I was in hospital as well. I did actually Google or find out about the Transplant Games,
Yes.
and I'm pretty sure I actually emailed or tried to get in contact with them to see if I was able to take part in it. But I think I would have had to have um, essentially, lost a kidney
Yeah.
after lost a transplanted kidney before you were eligible to take part.
To
So
take part, yeah.
I kind of from like an early stage then from being diagnosed, I was kind of you know, pointing myself towards it, getting to know, there is these games out there,
Yeah.
because prior I was playing rugby, obviously with the kidney, and just after everything, that's not really going to be an option
No,
anymore. I think you can play tag rugby, but it's not the same
it's not the
as
same. Yeah.
as rugby, full
Yeah.
contact. And again, prior I did athletics when I was back at home, so yeah, I just thought, okay, they've got athletic events,
Yeah.
um, I can take part in that. So that kind of mindset got me going with just started training again. I joined a group where another liver transplant athlete, Emma Wiltshire,
Yeah.
um, where she trained with Lawrence Moore as well, my coach,
Yeah.
and as he was, he's used to training someone
Yeah.
with an organ transplant. It was just fitting that I joined that group,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Was this still
Just
pre to having the transplant? So you were.
yeah, sorry, I've skipped on a little bit. So once I was after hospital, I then moved back. That was in Cardiff. I moved to Carmarthen dialysis unit
Yeah,
because again I was still not quite stable at that point, and then moved to Aberystwyth, which is a lot closer to home, um, for dialysis until I got back to being able to go to work then, just being because
yeah,
dialysis took it out of me because it was literally just it felt like I was just waiting for dialysis, doing nothing, not doing nothing, just like relaxing and taking a
yeah,
break because it just impacted so much. And then once I got back to Cardiff, then I got in contact, well, a friend in work um, who did athletics, non-transplanted or anything like that. He got me in contact with Lawrence, who I do train with now,
yeah,
and that just got me going there then.
yeah,
Just to I found once I was back there, I got my own routine where I wasn't just waiting for the dialysis treatment. It was, even though obviously I had to do it 3 times a week, regardless, it was more of a case of, I'm going to work, I'm going to train this day. Okay, tomorrow morning I've got my session. How I used to like play it in my head was, you wake up, you get there for say 7 o'clock or whatever the time is, you're on until, was it 4 hours, so 11 o'clock.
yeah,
And then once 11 o'clock came, I slept through the sessions anyway.
yeah,
Um, and I acted as 11 o'clock was the start of the day,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Perfect sense. Yeah,
Just to block that
to make it
out.
not feel like it's interrupting the day as such. And
Exactly, yeah.
yeah,
And then yeah, so then once the blood levels started to get back down to a normalish level, my family then went on to do the tests to see if they were able to donate their kidney.
yeah,
Um, my mum and sister were a match, so yeah, I don't think Mum wanted two of her kids going
yeah,
under surgery. So yeah, I had my kidney from my mum in January 2017,
yeah, man.
and
With the sport, I mean, I know we were talking about the physical side, but obviously that must have really helped with your mental health as well. Having that sort of slight bit of structure, having something else to focus on, especially when you're, like you say, you're waiting for dialysis, then you're waiting for the transplant. Like, how important, and the physical fitness before your transplant. Do you think that helped afterwards?
yeah, I think from when I was training, being on dialysis, it it was difficult, obviously, because because I had the fluid restriction, so I was only allowed to drink a liter a day, and also the food side of things, which was hard. But
Yeah,
I think just having a schedule and having things to do kind of blocked that out. And again, it's having that end target, which of keeping strong, keeping like not going overboard beforehand, keeping strong up until the transplant, which then I think, like you say, it helped then post transplant to because you've got a bit of a baseline fitness. You've got it up to a certain
yeah,
point, and then once the transplant happened, recovery was a little bit easier as well, I
yeah,
think. Um, and just moving on from there, and it's that social side of things as well, which suppose you kind of get when you're up at the games.
yeah, yeah,
It's at that time, it was with our group that we trained with, but it's just that nice social aspect. And I love it because me and my coach talk about it sometimes as well, where he gets asked, also, how do you go about training, like, having Lewis as your as training him, and the coach just goes, nothing, Lewis is just another athlete, because
yeah.
that's what I like to be. I think I told him it's what I want to be known as.
You
I don't want to be known as like, oh, go easy on me
can't
because
push him
I'm,
so hard. Yeah,
yeah, I want to be pushed,
yeah,
and I love being like, when we do block starts against other groups, you know these guys can do it in like 10.5, sub 10.5, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm catching up with them slowly. I'm
Yeah,
getting old now,
definitely.
but catching up with them. So,
They're getting
and
older too, so
exactly, and it shows what a transplant athlete can do. Just because um, there has been that. Not, I can't think of the word. There's been that obstacle in our lives,
yeah.
but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to shut shop. I think um, a lot is it to do with your mental
Well, that's it.
capabilities.
You could have gone one or two ways. You could have thought, well, I can't do rugby anymore. I'm not going to bother with anything else. I'm
Yeah,
probably not going to be as good as I was, and stuff like that. Whereas you kind of went the opposite way, and you're like, well, this has given me something really to focus on. I'm probably going to have to work even harder because I've, lost all this time and everything like
yeah,
that. And like you say, that focus gives you that drive.
yeah. And I think that probably did help, as well, training for post-transplant and yeah, because the transplant was January, and by the time I recovered, it was April, and then I took part in my first games up in North, I want to say North Lanarkshire in Scotland, 2017, I think it was. Um, and yeah, I competed in because I played snooker as well. I just
Yeah.
thought I'll take part in that. And I just did the 100 at that point because no way was I gonna. I just finished 100. It was to be fair, it was tough. I mean, yeah, I don't think I think I'd practiced blocks coming out of blocks that week prior to
Yeah.
going up.
So
But
literally sort of fresh at it still.
yeah,
Yeah.
but now I can just about finish a 200. Just about.
200. I mean, I'm literally just getting back into athletics. I did it at school, and then I got really, really ill. Yeah, I ran for the county. I played football. I did everything, and then I got really ill. And at that time, obviously, it's a time when kids are developing into teenagers and stuff, and I just didn't develop like everyone else. So I went. I
Hmm.
remember going back to play football, and I just got absolutely pushed around. And I just sort of lost hope. So this has given me so much hope again. But to watch the 200 meters and how fast that's just the 200-meter sprint, and it's
Yeah,
incredible, incredible.
yeah, it is. And, you know, going forward, because I'm obviously training up now for the Worlds in
Yes,
April next year, and
because
it's a
you've
little
got
bit
some
difficult
medals to defend. Because you got 3, 4 golds.
I'm trying to think in the Europeans, it was 100 and 200 and the 4x1 relay. And I'm going to try and do in the Worlds 100, 200, yeah, and the 4 by
Yeah,
one And then if the guys need me, do the 4x400. But
yeah.
again, that's going to be. I am starting just to do a lap, trying to clock a time. I should start taking a stopwatch with me. My Fitbit broke annoyingly, so I can't quite time it. But just you know, get a 400 meters, just see how it goes. So when I get there, I think
If you
the
needed.
yeah, if I'm needed there, and I might try long jump as well. We'll see how that goes.
It's
But
great that we get this opportunity in the games to put ourselves forward for all these different events.
yeah, it is good, but I yeah, again, I think I've said it in my interviews in the games in the Europeans, because I concentrate just on the sprints because I really want to get that 10 point
Yeah,
something. Um, if I were to, let's say, concentrate slightly on long jump or javelin or something like that, that might hinder the 100,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is the main one. So again, going into Perth, I would love to get a 10 something. I mean, it's going to be nice conditions out in Perth.
It's going to be
It's
very hot. It's going to be
very hot,
difficult. I
humid,
mean,
yeah,
completely
but
different conditions to here.
yeah, and just needs perfect conditions, and I think it'll be there because my coach, just started back now, and he's really happy with considering I had a 3 week break post the European Games, um, not lost
Yeah,
much technical aspects because sometimes um because I joke around with my friend. He says, "Oh, I say I'm going to training tonight," and he's like, "Oh, what? Do like 6 30-meter runs?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it sounds easy,
Yeah.
but when you have to explode out, you got to keep your knees high, your toe pointing up, hit back into the track.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot easier said than done."
Yeah, well, like before the games this year, I had more of a health coach or fitness coach, sorry, not so much athletics because I hadn't done anything. So that really did help me. But just before the games, I was watching videos on YouTube pretty much on how to run. And one of my friends was like,
Yeah.
what are you watching videos on how to run? You just run. I was like, yeah, but it's not like that. Like
Yeah.
it's
It's yeah,
the
because he
technicality of the starts is all important. Your posture is important.
yeah,
Like you say, how high you get your legs is important.
yeah, how hard you hit the track,
Yeah,
how, you know, if your foot is slightly too ahead of your body, you're essentially braking. If you're too far behind, you're kind of falling over yourself. Yeah, and I mean, he mocked doing a block start in the gym. Like he didn't explode out or anything, but he
yeah.
just like went into a position, and I just laughed at him. His foot was right up on the imaginary line, and then his back leg was like, he was almost in a lunge, and I was like, well, you're not going anywhere with that, are
Yeah,
you?
you've not put yourself in the best position to start.
Yeah. So yeah, it's difficult, but it's nice because again, like I said, training with these other guys that can run, 10-5, that's pushing me. So then when I
Yeah,
get to these games,
of
can be
course.
ready
I
for
mean,
anything.
they always say that you should train with people better than you because
Yeah,
otherwise you're never essentially going to sort of progress.
exactly.
So it's
And
great that you've got that, and it's great
yeah,
that like you say, that your coach obviously recognizes that you've had this operation, but at the same time, it's just like I'm still going to push you if you want to be pushed.
yeah. Sometimes I regret saying that, but
Yeah. Well,
yeah, when he's winter training, if he says like 5 200s, I'm like, oh, it's a kilometer. Don't want to run
yeah.
that.
I don't like long distance at all. I do 5Ks just to try and keep
That
my
is long
fitness up,
distance to me.
but yeah, I don't like it too much. I just find it quite boring.
Yeah, my partner, she got me to do a 5K in lockdown,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Well,
I thought we were getting up to halfway, and I was like, yes, halfway, that was easy. And she was like, no, this is just halfway to halfway, so a
yeah.
quarter. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's not the same as all out 100 meters then done.
I know, just all done. I know.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I did a 10K charity run, and oh my god, it felt like it was never going to end. So people that do marathons and stuff, I do take my hat off to them because that's an
Yeah,
epic endurance
that's the
test.
thing. I mean, I'd love to do the the kids fun like 2K fun run. I mean, I I'd be sweating.
Yeah.
I'd be a state.
Yeah, it is funny how in running there is such a big difference between sprints and endurance running. I mean, you can tell it just by looking at the athletes, I suppose, how different it is.
Yeah, I suppose, it's yeah, like you say, it's the different like build up, isn't it? So with sprint, you want to be strong, explosive.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whereas with the long distance runners, you know, they're still strong in their own way, but it's more endurance based. So
yeah.
yeah, I just
Do you think there's a difference psychologically there as well in the preparation to them sort of things?
yeah, I couldn't. I don't know how, like you say, like when I did a 5K, I got to 2.5K and I was ready to,
That's the mind starts telling you. My
yeah,
mind's
no,
like,
no,
"Why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. Stop!" And you're
yeah,
like, "I've got to. I've got
like
to."
I can walk, 5K, we walked up Snowdon like a couple of weeks ago, it
Yeah,
was hard, but it's that, I suppose again, it's that end target of reaching the peak.
yeah,
Um, Whereas I can't see it with a long distance
yeah,
run,
yeah,
with yeah, but like you say, hats off to the guys that that run any long distance, from 5 up to up to a marathon, up to, ultras,
Yeah.
and, watching the guys do it at the games as well, it's hard enough for like a non-transplanted athlete, and then you get the transplant guys competed, and yeah, it's nice. It's super special to watch.
Yeah. So, what would be your top tips to someone that wanted to get back into sports after a transplant? Yeah, we'll start with that one.
So, tough question. Um, I suppose, set yourself kind of like small little targets, nothing too like too hard.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want a challenge, set a challenge, but it's just I'm building up slow. I would, you're not going to get there. It's probably like the mindset of a marathon runner.
yeah,
It's not a sprint. It's a long process, but you get those little fundamental steps right, you will hit that target
yeah,
and you will hit your goal.
yeah. Because like you said, I mean, your goal was to reach the sub 11,
So yeah,
but obviously, it took you some time to achieve that.
yeah, exactly. And through we had COVID, so we've lost I think 3 years of training as
Yeah,
well. So that kind of hit me because I wasn't even too sure if I was going to come back because I enjoyed the time off, not
yeah,
having to go back to training.
yeah,
But once I got back there, I just enjoy it when you put the spikes on and then you get that speed.
yeah.
It's just nice.
Yeah, I mean, for me, some of the physical training is I don't necessarily enjoy it at the time, but that after feeling, knowing that you've
Yeah,
achieved it and you're done, and then you can get
yeah,
on with
that's
the
the
day.
thing. I mean, like last night, like I just did some runs. That was a session. It was just a recovery work from Monday night, and then gym work. And I was just doing deadlifts, and as I was walking to the gym, it was like, oh, am I going to be able to do much here?
Yeah,
Then I put like 25s on. I was like, yeah, okay, that's just a warm up. Okay, that's going up nice.
yeah,
And then I was like, okay, put more on. It's going nice. And then I just like it was meant to be 85 of my max, but I went 20 kilos over that because it just felt nice at the
yeah.
time. And then today I'm feeling it. My
So,
back is in pain.
so, so that's a good point. What would your typical week be for training routine?
Training routine. So Mondays is usually so we got a heavy prowler. So that's just yeah, just put I think coach usually puts around 100, 125 on the prowler, push it around 15 meters, like say 20-second rest, push it back.
Is this almost like because I don't know what that is. It's like in rugby when you're doing a scrum, is it something like you just push?
Yeah, it's like a small cage type thing,
Yeah,
which can just hold weight, and then you just hold your arms out straight, and then you just use your legs to drive
push
it
it.
forward. So
Yeah,
that kind of mimics. It gets you really thinking of coming out of the blocks, getting
yeah,
that triple extension. So you want to be pushing back into the track, getting your toe coming back up, pointing up, and then pushing back, you know, getting you to think of those type of movements.
yeah.
And then we will do sled work. So again, you're probably talking 25, 30 meters of a sled on your back with say 10, 15 kilos. Um, just again, mimic coming accelerations
Yeah.
and then
It sounds like Rocky training.
it is. And then luckily in Nyack we've got there are actual
Yeah.
weights, so it's not like tires and stuff like that. Even though, back in training for rugby, tires are
Is what you
useful.
used
It
to,
good,
yeah.
adds a good resistance. Um, and then to finish off, then we'll do some competitive blocks. So that's where, luckily this year now, a guy's joined the group, so we just get that extra competitiveness there coming out of the blocks. Um, and then to finish the session is 120 odd meter top speed stuff.
Yeah.
So that's just one session on a
That's
Monday.
Mondays. Yeah.
That's Monday. Tuesday then is diagonal runs. So, on a football pitch,
Yeah.
start off in one corner, diagonally run to the top, walk over, run down,
Yeah.
walk over. Then you do 3 sets of 4 runs. So you're doing, 4 runs each time, and then the gym sesh then. So, like, for example, last night, deadlifts were heavy, pull-ups, Romanian deadlifts, lunges,
Yeah.
shoulder work, just generic. Get a big compound lift. So it'll either be dead, squats, cleans, or bench,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then luckily tonight it's a nice rest day for Wednesday,
Yeah.
so I do like a Wednesday,
Needed.
It's a well-needed rest.
Yeah.
Um, Thursdays is usually then 60-meter top speed stuff. So you're quite kind of pushing yourself at 95% of your max. I think then a bit of plyometric work. So you got the chain pulls, bounds, which is kind of your jumping off both legs, but you lift one leg higher to as if you're top speed running, so
Yeah.
your knees kind of at 90 degrees to your body, and then you bounce, and then you kind of I-
Keep
difficult
doing
to
it.
difficult to explain that one. And then I can't remember what the name of the third one is, but it's kind of like, imagine you kind of start off in a little kind of a jog walking into it, a walk jog into it, and then you kind of jump and lunge in the air. I can't remember what they're called. And then just do that for say 30, no, not 30 meters. It's probably like 20.
Yeah.
So that's just to finish off the sesh on Thursdays.
All sort of leg
Fridays,
work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fridays then it's another day off. And then Saturdays kind of mimics Monday, where you're doing kind of acceleration stuff. So it tends to be block work. I think that's usually a pyramid, so it's 20 meters, 30, 40, 50, 50, 40, 30. You drive out to, and then it's the killer then after that, which is the 150, which starts out 150. And then I think going more into winter now, especially to prepare for Australia, because you're going to have to get 200-meter training in
Yeah.
now. It's probably going to have to be like 200s or split. So you're talking maybe 2 or 3 150s, which again sounds easy, but when you're doing them full pelt,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not nice.
Yeah. It takes it out of you,
Yeah.
definitely.
And then, so yeah, I got the gym sesh on a Tuesday, which I do up in Nyack, but then I also go with my friend. I didn't go there this morning because he's on site, and last night killed me, but I usually gym then with him on a Wednesday and Friday morning.
With your rest days.
Yeah. But it's nice because in the mornings I just can't lift heavy. I don't know
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is. I don't think I'm awake, and I'm easily just I can't be asked to put more weight on.
Yeah.
But again, last night, once I'm awake, I've done everything. I could easily, yeah, because for example, last night it was 200 I was lifting deads, but then when I've tried to do that in the morning, I mean, I'm struggling with 120.
Yeah.
So
Like you say, it's completely different. You've been moving all day. You're sort of
that's the thing.
your
Yeah,
body's a bit more awake for it. It's a lot to
yeah.
go and do that first thing in the morning.
I know it's just not nice. I just it's
Do you do any swimming? Does that come into any of it at all?
no. No, I mean I'm not the best swimmer.
No.
I remember in which games was it? I think it was either Newport Games or um Birmingham. Sorry, of the British Transplant Games. A friend he does swimming, and I said I would do the relay at the end,
Yeah.
and I think I just looked like a dog splashing around
Yeah.
everywhere. It was just making a mess. Just
I
yeah.
I did the 100 meters freestyle this year at the
Oh,
Transplant Games, and it's
that,
different to doing a 100-meter run. Even still,
I was
like
gonna say, I
it's
think
your
that's even
full
hard.
body is just
That's
done.
it's burning. I
Yeah,
think, yeah. I mean, watching guys swim in. I mean, it's
some of
boiling
them,
in there.
some of them make
Just
it
in
look
in.
effortless as
I
well.
know. You see some of them guys, like their arms just
Yeah,
grab. Yeah, but no, I probably should put some swimming in, but I'm not the strongest swimmer. I
yeah.
think I'm too dense, and I just sink.
Yeah,
But
somebody said to me they saw the photo of me stood on the podium with the other two guys that got bronze, gold and silver, and they said to me they look like swimmers. Like they said, you don't particularly look like a swimmer. They look like swimmers.
yeah, just yeah, yeah. Swimming's a whole different story. I can't, like, fair play, well done,
Yeah,
and to podium as well, which is even better.
yeah. Thank you. One
Um,
last question, really, is sort of your diet. Does that play a big part in your training and how you prepare for stuff?
people,
Because I that's the one thing I struggle with is my diet. Like I'll have a smoothie in the morning and be like, yes, well done. But then by 10 o'clock, I'm eating like a cake or a bacon sandwich.
um, yeah, a lot of people always. I don't say always, but they always ask us like, oh, so like now, like, what's your diet? And I'm like, I mean, we don't eat unhealthy here, but we don't necessarily eat, you know, specific foods,
Yeah, yeah,
like, for example, tonight we're just having pesto pasta. You
yeah,
know, last night we had burgers from home and homemade. Like, no, I think they were just oven chips.
yeah.
Um,
Just a
yeah,
very mixed, balanced
yeah,
sort of diet.
mixed, balanced. It's nothing, no specifics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
again, my kryptonite is crisps. I
Mine's
mean,
chocolate, but crisps are
ah.
good.
Crisps. I mean, like in Lidl last night, I went mistakenly after training,
Yeah,
so I was hungry.
yeah.
I saw crisps, and I was like, just grab them. And I'm even worse then in the car. I'll open them in the passenger seat and just reach over
Just
and
keep
just.
eating them on the way
And
home.
then when I get back home, which is only like 5 minutes away, the bag's empty, and I'm like, if I just eat in a big, yeah,
But you could say, "Oh, I need the fuel. It's good energy
yeah. I just had a
from
gym
training."
sesh, so
Yeah,
yeah,
balances it out. What about
exactly.
on race day?
Race day, I mean, come at the European Games in the morning, I of the morning of the 100 meters, didn't I was just so nervous,
Really?
literally. So we were staying at the hotel, and put what I was thinking was a decent meal, which was just a bit of bacon, scrambled egg, toast. I didn't want to overdo it because I didn't
Yeah,
want to be full and everything. So I was like, those that seems healthy, seems good. And I touched half a slice. No, I touched one slice of toast. I was I was being like a kid. I was picking the scrambled eggs,
yeah,
and then I forced myself to make a little a sandwich of not sandwich. Like, I folded. Oh, sorry, I had two slices of toast. Sliced it, folded one of the bread toast in half. Just put some bacon in there.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Just nerves came over me that day. I didn't know what happened.
Well, that's I know I said that was the last question, but I got one more kind of thing because yeah, the nerves. Like I was stood on that 100-meter start and I was literally like shaking with
Yeah,
nerves. And it's good to hear you say that even you do it all the time and you still get nervous. Like how
yeah.
do you on the start line? What's running through your head? What's the focus?
I think it's just potentially I put too much pressure on myself
Yeah,
to execute it perfect every time. Um, because I don't know, what's going through my head is trying to nail it bang on every time. But for example, in the European Games, my back leg, it was shaking in the
yeah,
blocks.
yeah,
And then it's happened before when I've raced non-transplanted guys in the indoors season in Nyack, and in the Premiership with Swansea. I think I put again too much pressure on myself to beat the guys, especially when I'm racing the non-transplanted guys.
Yeah.
They're not my race. It's nice to race against them, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but that that's not my race. My race is the European game, like the British, European, and World Games.
Yeah.
Um, I need I really I that's one probably aspect of it where I need to not improve, yeah, improve, I guess,
Yeah.
which is just telling yourself, you can do it. You've done it countless times in training. You know how to do the process. It's muscle memory
Yeah.
to an extent of coming out the blocks. And I mean, considering I ran 11:01 in the Europeans when I was shaking, if I didn't shake, would that have been 10:09?
Yeah. Yeah. The thing with athletics and the 100 meters is it's not like a football game where you've got 90 minutes to go out. And if you make a mistake, you're all right. You've literally got that 10 seconds or 11 seconds or whatever,
Yeah,
and that's it. And then that's it for the day. Like there's no second go. That's it.
no,
So it's a lot of pressure for that
for that, yeah,
one
for that
thing.
one race, and
Yeah.
60 meters indoors because that's what I've been like, do over winter. That's even worse. I mean, hopefully this year I'll get into the 6 point, similar into the sub sevens, but I mean, you can lose half a second if you mess up your blocks,
Yeah.
and you can kind of make it up a little bit with in 100. Obviously, the more distance, the higher the
Yeah.
distance,
Yeah.
so 200, 400, you can make it up a little bit more. But if you mess up a start, even though it doesn't sound like a lot, like half a second, but it could be,
Yeah. That's the difference between, like you
yeah,
say, sort of
yeah,
between 10 and 11 seconds. And
yeah, exactly. I mean, in the European Games last time round in 2018. I won by 100th of a second, and
yeah,
that was just down to I would say a perfectly timed dip on the line
at the end. Yeah.
at the line. Yeah, at
Yeah.
the line. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, again, those are little things. Sometimes I've done that in training. Coach says run to the cone, or say that's 30 meters, and there is a line there, even if there's no line there. I kind of think there's a line there, so you kind of practice a dip
Yeah.
because sometimes, if you dip, I'm pretty sure one race I dipped like after the line, and I was like,
What was the
who's
point?
who's this helping?
Yeah.
And sometimes you dip too much before, and you
And you end
lose
up almost
your last.
stumbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, it's little things to get the time down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
No, anytime.
Like I really enjoyed chatting to you, and I will definitely see you again at the next UK Games.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm hoping to then be good enough to qualify for the World Games in Germany.
and yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean,
Yeah.
set that target now,
Yeah.
and sure you'll
Yeah.
nail it.
I was close to third in our heat, and I think that I hadn't run on a track ever or
Yeah.
anything or since
Oh,
I was younger. So
that's the
I'm
thing.
joining an athletics club, so hopefully I'll push
That's the
myself a bit.
thing.
And,
It's just
yeah,
getting used to it, and just again, it's those little techniques, just
yeah.
on how to run a little bit faster, and I'm sure you'll be at the top of that podium in no time.
I don't know about that. The guy, I don't know. He runs for like London Athletics or someone thing, but he was just super quick. Like,
Oh,
uh,
is it Edwin? No.
I can't remember his
Oh,
name. He
that's
but
okay.
yeah, super quick. He
Yeah.
just left me for dust. It's amazing, amazing. But yeah, thank you so much, for talking to me, Lewis. Is there one more thing that you wanted to add at the end?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, that I've been selected to represent GB and NI it down in Perth in Australia next year.
Very, very
I have,
cool.
thank you, um, and yeah, hoping to uh, the games the games cost up to £3,000, and it's all meant to be it's going to be self-funded by ourselves. So I have set up a GoFundMe page,
Yeah.
and I can give you the link.
Yeah, I'll
That's
put the link
possible.
below this video, so that anyone, or below the podcast as well, if anyone's listening, so that if anyone does want to sort of chuck in some money to help Lewis get there, and like he says, he's supporting, or he's competing for Team GB in Northern Ireland, so it's an incredible achievement to represent the country.
Yeah, and I'd be so grateful for any support, because I understand, it's difficult for everybody at the moment, but I'd be so grateful for any help.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I'll put the link below this. So if anyone does want to chuck some money into the GoFundMe pot, and then I'll put your Instagram page up here if people can give you a follow, and then they can follow your story and
Yeah,
hopefully see
yeah.
you bring home some golds.
Bring hope. Yeah, I know. Hopefully the
No
baggage
pressure.
allowance will go over.
Yeah, walking through the old machines with all your medals on. Excuse me, sir, can
Through
you
no,
take them off?
yeah,
No, I'm not.
no,
I've won
nothing,
these.
anything to clear. Yeah, all these
Yeah,
golds.
all these golds. Yes, that's what we like to see. Brilliant. Well, thank you again so much for chatting to me today. And yeah, all the best in the World Games, and I'll see you at the
Cheers,
next
and
Transplant Games.
I'll see you in Coventry.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers.